I'm gonna go in. I'm running up in there. Right, kinda on it. What? Nigga. Shit so fucking hard, yeah. What? Sad, I've been serving and the fag, I've been serving and the fag out the pen. Now a nigga work around the platform and jerk around the clock. Never serving and the fag out the pen. I love my nigga.
This live stream may contain content that could be perceived as shocking or offensive, but it is presented solely for educational purposes. Viewer discretion is advised. We strive to adhere to community guidelines, and any potentially sensitive material is shared with the intent of fostering understanding and learning.
Okay, you know what? Hey, you need to fucking bring your level down and not get in my face like that. There's a line. Hey, listen to me, buddy. Don't come run up on my car yelling at me like that. Then don't take cuts. Oh, shit. You ran up on me, my guy.
Yeah. Yeah, my man got some accurate. He said, woo, shit. Hey, clearly, I think the guy in the black is a security guard. Let's play this again. This is our video of the week. We try to start off every podcast, every stream with an interesting video, and I think that this is coming out of Seattle. So, living here in Portland and then having this kind of stuff happen up the road in Seattle, interesting to say the least. But I am almost certain this guy is a security guard. This all stems from cutting in line at a Costco, and I have a very interesting story to share with you guys that is extremely similar to this. So let's bring this back in. Let's play it one more time.
Okay, you know what? Hey, you need to fucking bring your level down and not get in my face like that. There's a line. Hey, listen to me, buddy. Don't come run up on my car yelling at me like that. Then don't take cuts. Oh, shit. You ran up on me, my guy.
Yeah, in the game of rock, paper, scissors of life, the firearm, it trumps the ASP baton. Not sure if you guys are aware of that. So, yeah, man. Hey, so a situation that I was involved in about a month ago. I have not talked about this online because there's potentially still some legal ramifications that could come from it. I was in a very, very similar situation. The gym that I work out at, it's kind of has an intersection. You go into a parking lot, and then on the far left side, there's a coffee shop. And like the way that the traffic and everything is going into this area, you have people that are turning out of the parking lot and then going left. You have people that are turning into the parking lot. It's just a big clusterfuck, right? And then people in Portland, just horrible drivers. Long story short, when I turn into this parking lot to the left where the coffee shop is, there's like 4 or 5 cars that are, at the drive-through window of this coffee shop, but there's at least 2 car links that are still open. So when I make the left and get in the line for the coffee shop, there's still a car link behind me before you get to the intersection where people are turning back onto the highway. So when I'm in line, I'm waiting for my coffee. There's, 4 cars in front of me, and I hear this guy just laying on his horn, laying on his horn. I'm like, what's going on? Right. And I kind of look around and I don't see anything. I don't really notice anything. Put my head back down, get back into my phone or whatever. And then I hear somebody, same guy laying on his horn again. I'm like, what is going on? But, this is Portland. You hear that stuff all the time, right? So I'm paying no attention to it. I've got my head down in my phone. Like there's cars in front of me. And I happen to look into my side mirror on the left side, the driver's side. And I see this guy running up to my car with his hand inside of his waistband. Yeah, I mean, this is Portland, guys. So you can imagine hypothetically what I did in that situation. And this person, kind of stops in his tracks, and I say, hey, look, get away from my car. And he's like, you cut in front of me, you cut in front of me, you cut in front of me. I'm like, hey, get away from my car, back away from me. Had to pull off and contact the police department, let them know the situation. And so, very, very similar situation. I would never get out of my vehicle and have a confrontation with someone. I would never approach someone's vehicle. But, here in Southeast Portland, where there have been multiple carjackings, multiple shootings, that was a very scary and dicey situation that I had to respond to. We'll just leave it at that. And so, yeah, be careful in these environments because this type of stuff does happen. Listen, guys, I want to say first and foremost, Happy New Year. We are in 2024. I'm hopeful that you guys feel that you were productive, that you had a good year in 2023. For me, it was both positive and it was negative. If I can give you like a quick 30-second rundown, being able to work my way into the national conversation on things like gun control, on things like the livability issues of Portland, being on national television and contributing to these major networks. That's something that I've always wanted to do. I do have some political aspirations, so that's kind of been a big thing for me this year. But aside from that, the struggles of 2023 have just been working in the environment that we work in, living in the environment that we live in. It's very, very dangerous. Portland has only gotten more dangerous in the 4 years that I have been here. The livability has only gotten worse in the 4 years that I've been here. The stress, the toxic environment of way that people treat security guards, it's only gotten worse in the last 4 years. So, that has been very difficult for me. One of my biggest issues is that, when I'm stressed out, when I'm struggling, I eat. That is my coping mechanism. I eat. I have a horrible relationship with food. I've always gone back and forth from being in extremely good shape to being out of shape. And when I'm in a bad place, emotionally or mentally, or if I'm stressed out, I stress eat. And so that's where, I've put a lot of weight on over this past year. But we're in 2024. New year, new me, new year, new us. This is a great opportunity for us to, just start over, and that's all you can do. So let's get some comments in here. Who we got here? H Nation 63. My brother, how are you? Happy New Year. I'm doing good, man. Like I said, we all have our own struggles. We all have our own issues. Food addiction is mine, guys. My mother, not to bring the mood down or anything, but my mother died from a food addiction. She was a type 2 diabetic. She suffered from something called gastroparesis, which is where basically you can't digest food. But she, like myself, she was addicted to food, and she just could not give up certain things that they told her that she couldn't eat. They were very adamant that if she were to go on a certain diet and avoid certain foods, she would live a long life. And unfortunately, she passed at 59. So I definitely don't want to go down that road. So, I need you guys to help motivate me this year to stay in the gym and to do better with my food. So what we got over here, Hasman the Great, Happy New Year to everyone. Hope this year in security goes well for everyone. Hasman says, I'm addicted to caffeine. Bro, I am straight addicted to caffeine. I think I probably drink 6 cups of coffee a day when I'm working. Now, when I'm off work, I get a coffee in the morning and maybe I'll have one in the afternoon. But when I'm working, it's 6 a day. How many of you guys are drinking like Red Bulls or Monsters or like energy drinks? I hear that those are even worse. I'm lucky that I don't have an issue being addicted to those. Like I can drink a Red Bull. It's not something that I really like seek out. If somebody gives me one, maybe I would drink it, but I would much rather have a coffee as opposed to a Red Bull or a Rockstar. But, I know a lot of guys drink that, and I've heard that some people have died from drinking a lot of those. So I don't know, but let's clear the air. We're going down some morbid areas here, and we don't need to do that because it's 2024, guys. It's 2024, and things are going to be better. Hasman says he drinks 3 cups a day. Sometimes I drink a white Monster since it has low calories. Yeah, I don't know if that makes it any better, but yeah. So look, before we go into today's topic, which is going to be the top 10 things that we need to leave behind in 2024. The top 10 things that the security industry needs to leave behind. Stop doing, stop being a part of it, stop engaging in it. Before we get to that, I want to show you guys two videos. Both of them are highly questionable shootings. Okay. They're both highly questionable shootings. However, I feel that one is more justified than the other, and it might surprise you which way I go with that. So the question is, are these two shootings justified? Let's pull up the first shooting. We will play it in its entirety, and then we'll break it down, and then we'll look at it again. Okay, so let's pull this down, and this is going to be situation number 1. Stand by.
Come here. You don't want to make us worse than it already is. Put the brick down. Put the brick down.
Get on the ground, drop it. Drop the brick. Drop the brick. Do it now.
So we brought this video up probably, I would say, a month ago on the shorts feed on the YouTube channel. And I asked you guys if this was justified. I had a fellow creator who works in the California area said that he actually knows these two officers. I don't think that he took kindly to me sharing this video and talking about this video. He felt that I was mocking the guys because I just said that, like, you know, had they not had the thought to just back up. He, along with some other people, have said that this was a justifiable shooting because a brick in and of itself is a deadly weapon or could cause grave bodily harm or injury. And while I agree on the surface that a brick is a deadly weapon in that capacity and that it does have the ability to cause grave bodily harm or death, in this situation, when they're making the initial approach, they already know the guy has the brick, right? You're hearing the officer say, hey, put the brick down. So it's not a situation where this person turns and produces the brick, right? And then throws it. I think in that situation, that makes a lot more sense. Having prior knowledge that this person had this in his hands, and then the great amount of space that you have in this area for them to just follow this guy for the remainder of the time that it takes for them to get more people on the scene, to box him in, to use less lethal or less than lethal. I think there was great opportunity for that. Now, I say all this with the caveat that I know that I'm Monday morning quarterback. It's easy for me to say this, but, you know, again, in the security industry, I bring these videos to you, and a lot of these videos are coming from the law enforcement side of things, because that's where we have the body camera footage. That's where we're able to see in real time the decisions that people are making for security. And this is something that we're going to talk about, you know, way further down in this broadcast today, because it has very strong repercussions for the state of California. For security, sometimes making the right decision in the initial contact saves you from being in a situation where you're in something like this. Again, this person clearly had the brick when they made first contact, and they had great distance to be able to close that gap, or to make the decision to close that gap and then feel that you're justified in taking that shot. I don't agree with that. Let's play it again one more time. We'll get some comments from you guys. Okay, stand by.
Come here. You don't want to make us worse than it already is. Put the brick down. Put the brick down.
Get on the ground, drop it. Drop the brick. Drop the brick. Do it now.
So there you have that. You know, I'm interested to know what you guys think about that. We have a couple people saying it's a bad shoot. Like, I feel it's a bad shoot, not to mention the fact that he's shooting directly towards this house. It's not a very good backstop, you know, in this area, this neighborhood. There's houses and homes in the entirety of these beanbag rounds. And that was effective. You know, now listen, clearly, just my opinion. Now, I'm going to show you guys another video. This one is getting a lot of controversy. This happened, I believe, I don't know if it was over the course of the weekend or the last couple of days, but this is getting a lot of controversy online, primarily because I believe the people that are involved are minority. Don't quote me on that, okay? But I'm going to play the video in its entirety, and then I want to talk about it as we break it down. Here we go. Stand by.
Can you see anything over there, Shelton?
They're in the back room if they're not answering.
Oh, let's put it.
Yep. Hold on.
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, come out.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand here because he
Hey,
just
hey, get to that dress.
He pushed me.
So horrible situation. From what I understand, this is a domestic call that the female, ultimately the subject that is shot, she makes the initial call based on allegedly the male subject somehow being abusive, being aggressive, and then you can actually hear when the police officers get the door open, she says, "I'm going to stab this guy," right? So I want to watch it again. And again, this is getting a lot of conversation online about being a bad shoot, an unjustified shoot. But I think that it shows a very great example of how the dynamics of who is a victim and who becomes the aggressor, how that is a sliding scale, right? That's not something that is clearly black and white in a situation where they're fluid and they're dynamic. And in this situation, although she might have been more than likely the victim to whatever was happening when she made that phone call, that does not justify her having that knife and then going after that person at that time. Clearly the tactics, that she uses are ultimately what the law enforcement officers have been contacted. They roll up on the scene, and in that situation, the next few steps that you take in terms of how you handle yourself, how you address those officers, the way in which you turn, whether or not you step towards them or you follow their commands, that could put you in a situation where you can find yourself in this very exact scenario. Is it far-fetched? Are there situations, are there stories where people have been the good guy with a gun, who have intervened in a domestic violence situation, who have intervened in a mass shooting, only to be shot by the responding officers? I think it is so important for us to watch this and see the minute nuanced details of what she says and the actions that she takes. Look at what she does when she heads back into the house and heads over to the guy. Now, when I say all of this, I'm not taking up for this guy. More than likely, he's a motherfucking dirtbag. Okay. And it's horrible that this entire family was placed in this situation. But if we're breaking this down for security officers to be able to digest the information and just plant that seed in the back of your mind so that you're not in a situation when the cops show up, if you're in a horrible situation where now you are being seen as the aggressor. Let's watch it one more time. I'll bring this back. We'll go full screen. Here we go.
Can you see anything over there, Shelton?
They're in the back room if they're not answering.
Oh, let's put it.
Yep. Hold on.
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, come out.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand here because he just
Get to that dress.
He pushed me.
All right, I've got some stuff in the chat saying that my sound is bad. Hey guys, let me know if my sound has come back and we're doing okay before I go any further. So somebody in the comments just drop and let me know if our sound is okay. Are we good on the sound? It's good. Okay, good deal. All right, so I'll make sure. So a couple comments here. Why would the dude say not to shoot her when she was going towards him? Who knows? Who knows? You know, a domestic situation is so volatile. In these situations, they just, who knows what was going on before? Who knows if they were high? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Sorry, the female went from victim to aggressor by coming close to stabbing her attacker. And it's sad the victim called the police and ended up being killed by the police. Yeah, it's horrible. It's a horrible situation. It's a horrible situation. But again, you know, we're looking at a domestic violence situation. I want you guys to think about this in the context of you being in a position where you've had a hostile or aggressive encounter and you are potentially holding someone at firearm point. And when the cops arrive, you know, you don't know who has called the police. You don't know what the information was they've been given, how they come in. And then the actions that you take can put you in a situation where you could end up in that very same scenario yourself. So we're going to go into 10 things to leave behind in 2024. We're going to lighten the mood up just a little bit, okay? Before I do, let me get this last comment here. Hang on, we got one more. People don't understand the law. If I was a DA, nobody will likely go to jail if that woman was alive. Both the boyfriend and the girlfriend would go to jail. Absolutely. All right, so let's get into the 10 things to leave behind in 2024. Number 10 is overstepping authority, right? Security guards overstepping their authority. We've got to get to a point where we just remain in the scope of our work, right? A lot of us know security guards who are doing too much. A lot of us, you know, we're all tagged with that label of what the stereotype is for security guards based on security guards doing too much. You know, our jobs are all different depending on what state you're living in, which city you're working in, what your detail is, what your post orders are. I get that. But for the most part, we all work in an observe and report capacity. Most of us, if you're armed, you're working in a respond only if in a situation where it's needed capacity. We have got to calm it down because the defund the police movement of 2020, it's kind of hitting the bricks. And I think that that's a great thing. You know, they took so much out of law enforcement. They tied their hands. They put their hands behind their back. They weren't able to do their job in many places. Portland being one of them are suffering the consequences of people being underfunded, being low on staff, being low on resources. However, that sentiment hasn't gone anywhere. Even though people are starting to understand that, like, you can't operate a city, you can't operate a municipality without having a police department. That sentiment for how people look at law enforcement, it hasn't gone anywhere, and it's shifting onto private security, right? We're catching all the shit, we're catching all the negativity, and we're catching all of the legislation that was pointed at law enforcement. They're putting it onto private security. Most of that is being done because too many of our officers are out here doing things that they should not be doing. Case in point, let me play a video for you guys. I got this video, I think it's Allied Universal, and just this guard is going schizoid. It's a First Amendment auditor, okay? This is something that seems to be a everyday occurrence when it comes to First Amendment audits and it comes to Allied Universal. I don't know why they haven't instituted a training program for their security guards on how to deal with First Amendment auditors, right? Because this kind of thing happens all the time. I'm gonna bring this video in. Let's see how it goes here. Stand by.
Right now. Get out of here. Get out of here right now. Get out of here. Turn around. You are being detained, dude. Turn around. Right now.
Like, what the fuck are you doing? You're getting into a full-on fight with this guy. Like, okay, let's imagine, let's just assume that whatever he's doing inside the building, that he doesn't have a right to be there. He's done something that leads you to going hands-on and getting him outside the door. Now you're in the parking lot, you're drawing your baton, you're telling this guy that he's being detained. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous, and this is the kind of shit that gets us all in trouble.
Hey, you need to get him right now before he loses his life. You need to get him right now. Back the fuck up. Shut up. I came here to ask you a couple questions and he just assaulted me and punched me in my face.
Over here at 24 Wells.
He just punched me in my face. I need you to tell him back up before I hurt him. I'm trying to have a conversation with you. I'm trying to get you simple.
We're not talking to you
Shut the
anymore.
fuck up.
You shut up. We're not talking.
Right here, you know, the manager's out there. This dude's still talking. You know, he's getting aggressive. This kind of stuff, this has got to stop. Let's leave this shit in 2023. Okay. Number 9 is going to be drawing your weapons too quickly. That is something that security guards all across the country are doing. This guy pulling out his asp, security guards pulling out their firearms. You got that chick that was shooting at people at the goddamn library right here in Portland a couple years ago. We got the guy shooting someone in the parking lot over some fucking pallets. I showed you guys the video last week where they've got the Asian guy that they're kicking out of the fishing store. The guy allegedly pulls a firearm on that guy. Like, what is the deal? Calm the fuck down. Like, that has got to stop. Stop drawing your firearms. Firearms, asp baton, your taser. These things are defensive tools. These are not offensive tools. We are not at capacity to be preemptively pulling weapons on people. We are to be working in a response capacity. This is absolutely going to lead to all of us. I enjoy working as an armed security guard. I like the work that I do. I like the post that I work at. I like the amount of money that I make. I enjoy my job. I do. And I'm tired of having people who are in any capacity of security putting me in a position where you're going to fuck that up. Just stop. Calm down. Good Lord. Whoo! Goodness. All right. Number 8, calling out and being late. How many of you guys work with people that are always calling off, or work with people that are always late? Like, you're working your shift, you get off at 3:00, and you know Billy's coming in to relieve you, right? Good old Billy. And Billy is always 10 minutes late. And for whatever reason, like, there's no body to switch Billy out with. Like, that's the guy, but he's always 10 minutes late. He's always got some sort of excuse. There's always some issue. And then that means that you have to stay over longer. I do not understand people that cannot get up 5 minutes earlier to get to work, adjust their schedule. Like, that is a problem for everybody, and it affects everybody, right? Your being late does not just affect you. It affects everyone. And then call outs. How many of you guys deal with call outs? You're off one day, and someone calls out. So this is your one day off throughout the week. And now your supervisor's reaching out to you to cover a shift. It's great to get the overtime. It's great to get the extra money, but being put in a situation where you're not able to get that one day off that you're, normally supposed to get, or if you're working your shifts, you're putting in your time, it's just not good for company morale, and it's not good for the contract. Ultimately, if you don't go in and take that shift, or the other person that's responsible, the other person that the company can count on, they don't go in and take that shift, too many of those unfilled shifts, and then ultimately the contract gets cut, and then everybody's in a bad situation, right? Let's see what we got here. Dude, I work with so many people at my second job at the prison who always call out for the stupidest BS. The number one reason is having a bad day prior to the call out. I used to work at a prison. I don't know if you guys have this situation where you work, but we had mandatory overtime if someone called out, right? And so if you were the low man on the totem pole, you were mandated to stay. You might work an 8, you might work a 10, you might work a 12-hour shift, and then somebody calls out right as you're about to walk out the door and clock out, and they're like, hey, you got to stay for another 6, another 8 hours. That used to drive me absolutely insane. I could not stand that. All right, let's get to number 7. Number 7 is having to win. This is a huge problem with security guards. The issue of having to win, having to prove your point, having to get your way in a situation. It's okay for us to take the L. And when I say take the L, sometimes that means allowing the person to say what they want to say to you as long as they leave the store. Allowing the person to make the threat, to tell you that they're going to come back and kick your ass, do all that stuff that they do as long as they get off of property, right? Sometimes the best way to win is to not engage in the fight. But too many security guards, and I work with some of these guys, okay? Too many security guards out there are engaging in arguments, ego battles, going back and forth. I talked about that Lowe's shooting. If you guys remember that video, it's a situation where the security guard is literally blocking the path of the guy's vehicle. And he's threatening the guy. He's pepper spraying the guy. He's talking shit. The guy's doing the same thing. If either one of them would have just backed down, that guy would not have lost his life and the security guard would not have ended up in prison, right? But they both got enthralled in this ego battle. And you see that all the time where guards just will not back down. Take that extra step back. Step back 20 feet. Give that guy some space. Let him get out of the store. Now, a great example is this video that I'm going to show you right here. This is a security guard who clearly is not comfortably trained in applying handcuffs. And in this situation, you see the dynamics and the optics of him trying to handcuff this person, not being able to get the handcuffs on this person. The issue was over. And instead of just disengaging, getting up, reassessing the situation, or letting this person leave, because they do say that they will leave at this point, he continues to try and handcuff this person to no avail. This is what I'm talking about when I say security guards are too often having to win. Stand by.
Fucking sand nigger, fucking pieces of shit, fuck all of you. My son. Fuck you, you sand nigger bitches. You are shit. All of you are shit. When you die, you won't even have a fucking ghost.
I don't speak English.
Get off of me. No. 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 Drink it now. Help. Help. I'll leave. I'll leave. I'll leave if you let go. I'll leave if you let go. Help. 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 I'll leave if you let go. I'll leave if you let go. Help. I'll leave if you let go. I'll leave if you let go. Help! 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 I need help now. Help!
Calm down.
No! I'll leave if you let go. Do you need help? Help! Help! I'll leave if you let go. If you let go, I'll leave. I'll leave if you let go. I'll leave if you let go. Help! Help! I need that tunnel! Help me! Guys, help!
This guy? Can somebody help this guy?
I mean, I can't.
Is the security guard on duty? Did someone call the police? I don't know, but this is a security guy might help.
Help!
I mean, I think she's causing problems.
Help! There's people being murdered in the flesh farm downstairs! Help! I'll leave if you let me go!
Call the police.
Help!
I
You
call the
let
police.
go! No!
Le voy a hablar a la policía porque es un abuso.
I didn't
Lo
do
que él está haciendo.
nothing! Help! I don't want to go to jail! Please help me!
Pues habla a la policía.
Please help me! I didn't touch nothing! Please help me! Please help me! Please help me!
Porque ella no está bien de la cabeza.
Please help me! Don't let me go to jail!
La saca.
Ay, ay, ay. Good Lord. Okay, so for anybody watching, gain control first and then apply the handcuffs. All right. Also, hinged handcuffs work a lot better than the chain handcuffs, in my opinion. But again, listen, in that situation, what's the purpose of handcuffing her? She's being belligerent. She's clearly mentally ill, right? She's having some issues, but she hasn't pulled a weapon on anyone. She hasn't struck anyone. She's breaking some products. You would have been better off served going hands-on, wrapping her up, getting her in control, and walking her out of the store. Clearly, in a situation where you can't get the handcuffs applied, and she's telling you that she's going to leave if you let her go, then let her go. Now, Steve says she's probably making false promises. Well, let me answer that. Maybe she is. All the better, because guess what happens if she does something after you allow her to get up and you say, ma'am, you can leave our store. Now, if she does something else and you have to go hands-on, you are way more justified in applying those handcuffs, and it gives you that second opportunity to effectively make that detainment. If that's the decision that you're choosing to go, I wouldn't do that. But if that was the decision or the route that you were going to go, if she says, hey, look, let me up and I will leave, great, no problem. That's what we want. Go on about your day. Please, we're not keeping you here. You're not detained. You can leave. Go. Please leave our store. Now, when she starts throwing stuff, if she attacks somebody, she hits someone, now you're more justified. And it's even on video that you gave this person an opportunity to leave, as opposed to what? As opposed to what we're looking at, where she's begging you to let her go. That's how the news is going to report it. That's how the newspaper, that's how social media is going to report it. Not that she's in there doing something or causing a problem, but that this poor defenseless lady is begging to be let go and that she would leave and you wouldn't let her. And now you're having to answer for that situation. Just not necessary. Okay. Number 6, drama and shit talking coworkers. I am almost 50 years old. I should not have to say this, but I mean, it's a problem. It's an issue. Too many people are talking behind other officers' backs. Guys, we've got to get somewhat codified and unified because our industry is under attack. Aside from the fact that it's just not proper bro code. It's not good for grown men to be chatty patties and talking about people behind their back. But I think that we have to get to a point in 2024 where we realize what we stand to lose. I don't think that people are being honest about where things are going with private security. I showed you guys Robbie the robot. Don't think that that's just going to be in Portland, that's just one little R2D2 looking motherfucker. No, that's the direction they want to go. A armless, anamorphic, what's the word I'm looking for? Anatromic type security guard that doesn't take breaks, that doesn't need to call off, that doesn't mac on bitches. That's what they want. That's what they want. And that's what they're going to ultimately get. Our goal as security is to stretch that out as long as possible so that we can continue to provide for our families, continue to have a career, continue to be the force for good that we really are. We do serve a purpose. We do have a need, and there's a need for us. These robots and this AI type of security, that is not good for the actual people that are still having to work in these dangerous areas. But if we continue to do things like that, continue to do things that are similar to that, and we continue to backstab and bite each other, we're not going to have an industry for us to continue working in. Number 5 is trolling online. Before I get into this, let me get a couple of these comments in here. Let's see here. Scott says, as a resident of Portland, I want to say thank you. I see you guys on the sidewalks and the stores. I appreciate your level-headedness and using your platform this way. You're making a difference. Thank you. I don't get very many positive comments, so I will take that, and I appreciate that, Scott. I hope that we can continue to do that. My goal is to help people to be better at this job, because unfortunately, our companies, they don't help. They really don't. It's easy to get hired. It's easy to get fired. It's very, very difficult to get training. Mike Alvarez, what up, homie? He says autonomous. I knew it was autonomous. Yes. Autonomous. Yeah. And then Steve says animatronic. Yeah. I think animatronic is something that's the showbiz stuff. Anybody seen Five Nights at Freddy's? That's another security guard movie I have to add to my list. All right. So let's get back to trolling online. Oh, Lord, hang on. I could have never imagined when I started this security channel to help people, right? If you look at that very first video that I ever uploaded, it's like, hey, I'm getting into security. I've been working in the private sector and I'm looking for education. And, you know, I've reached out to our governing body. They won't teach us this. They won't teach us that. They won't give us access to this. And I'm looking to learn. And as I'm looking to learn, I'm going to take videos and share it with you guys so that anybody else that comes down this path, you know, they have more information than I did. Right. And that's what has spawned this security guard platform, the security guard channel, me talking to you guys and sharing this information and giving my perspective. And at the end of the day, that's all it is, right? It's just my perspective. I could have never in a million years have imagined that as I'm approaching 50, that I would deal with so many online trolls, like people that set out to be negative, to be mean, to be unprofessional. You know, one of the tenets of what we do here is trying to elevate the professionalism and to elevate the status of security, because we have such an issue with that in the everyday world, right? But the amount of people in the security industry over the past 2 years that I have dealt with that have just been horrible, not just to me, but to other people, not just to other people in the security industry, but just in general, the level of toxic energy that surrounds trying to help people has been absolutely just mind-blowing. It's been mind-blowing. I don't understand it. But as we move into this year, I think that needs to stop. Living your life in a miserable state where you're talking negative about people or taking shots at people or trying to build yourself off of somebody else's hard work and effort, that is so childish, and it's not proper man code. Like for me, I live my life by a certain code, and it's the man code. You know what I mean? I was in the military. I've worked in the prison system. I've worked in law enforcement. When you are in those environments, you cannot carry yourself like that for long. One of the greatest things that I learned working in the prison, first prison I ever worked in, county prison in Pennsylvania. One of the OGs, an old timer, you know, dude was doing life. He had nowhere to go. He was like, look, you know, this is your job. This is our home. And everything in this prison, in these four walls, it works off of respect. I understand that you're an officer. I understand that, you know, you got a job to do. It is what it is. But if you disrespect us, if you mistreat us, if you come at us the wrong way, regardless of the position that you're in, you need to understand that there's going to be repercussions and consequences. He was like, I'm doing life. I'm not going anywhere. Most of the guys that are in here are doing life. They're not going anywhere. They can't give us more time. And he said something to me that I will never forget. He said, it means nothing to me to throw your ass off of that tier and send you home in multiple body bags. Do your job, clock in, clock out, and remember, respect goes both ways. You respect us, we respect you. You disrespect us, best believe we will disrespect you. And he was dead ass serious. In those environments, corny trolling, talking shit, getting out of line, saying weird stuff, there's consequences. And we live in a world today where everybody is online. You don't have to see people. You don't have to be next to people. You don't have to bump into people. Now, if we did, there'd probably be a lot of different energy out there, right? If you worked in an environment where you were with people who would pull your coat or pull your card and say, hey, we don't do that. We don't do that. That energy would be a little bit different, right? But what we have to do as men and what we have to do in this environment is just say, look, All we can do is not participate in it. Whether that's your coworkers talking bad about people behind their back, no one should ever, and I tell people this all the time, no one will ever feel comfortable talking to me about a coworker, talking to me about a friend. God forbid you talk to me negatively about one of my family members. I'm not going to cockeye and kiki with somebody if they're out of line talking about somebody that I'm close to. It won't happen. I'll check them, right? And so that needs to be the energy in 2024. You should not, under any circumstances, if you rock with somebody, and this goes beyond me. We're talking real man shit right now. Okay, this goes well beyond social media and YouTube. We're talking real man shit, right? In your life, no one should feel comfortable talking shit about somebody you're close to you. Nope. If somebody comes to me and says, hey man, Brad said X, Y, and Z about you, I don't care what Brad said. What did you say when Brad said it? Oh, I didn't say anything, man. I didn't want to get into him. All right, then you get the fuck away from me too. Right? Because you can't do that with me. You cannot come to me and say anything negative to me about the people that I fuck with. You can't. I won't tolerate it. And I won't tolerate it with people that are doing good in this world. I won't tolerate it for people that are working hard to try and make a difference. I will not tolerate it. Okay? So that's just my outlook on it. Let's get some of these comments in here. Hasman the Great says majority of people are cowards online. I mean, we know that. I mean, that goes without saying. Yeah. Majority of people also hate their lives, so they tend to get jealous of people that are more successful, have more than them, and are progressing in life. Hasman says, the prison I work for is the Texas State Prison. I totally understand what you're saying, brother. We enter their homes. In reality, the inmates run the units here for the state prisons in Texas. The inmates run the prisons in every prison. They do. There's more of them than there are you as guards. And I've seen people get cut. I've seen people get poked. Like, it's not a game. But working, this will be a different video somewhere down the line. Working in the prison system, it came into my life at the perfect time because I was very, very immature. I was a very immature grown man. And when I got around those people in that situation, the conversations that I had with inmates, it was life-changing, and it was life-changing for the better. It really was. All right. Number 4, being ashamed of our profession. Leave it in 2023. Okay. There's no reason in 2024 for you to be ashamed of what you're doing. Okay. I am going to share with you guys something that I don't tell people very often. All right. Well, I'm not going to say that. No, I'm not going to say that. I make a good living doing security. Okay. Let's just leave it at that. All right. There's no reason to be ashamed of it. It's a good job. It pays well if you find the right location, you find the right post. You can do anything and everything with security, from sit in a chair and sign people in to literally going overseas and working private contracts. I've talked to you guys about working for Constellus, working for Triple Canopy. These are basically derivatives of Blackwater. They have open positions for security, for armed security. You can go and work in Israel. I've had offers to work in Israel, offers to work in Kuwait. I've had officers to work in Iraq, in Afghanistan when the base was still open. There are so many opportunities out there. You can work in Mexico. You can work in Puerto Rico. So many things that you can do, right? There's too many opportunities for you guys to see the world, to be a force for good, to do amazing things, for you guys to be ashamed of being a security guard. Those days are over. Leave that shit in 2023. Number 3, this kind of goes along with trolling. It's nitpicking. Security guards are spending way too much time nitpicking other security guards' gear. Now, are there guards out there that are overdoing it with their kit? Yes. I think we know those people when we see them, but even that in and of itself, that's coming from somewhere, right? A lot of these guards who are overdoing it with their kit, you got to remember, these guys are working by themselves, right? If you're working by yourself, you're working a post somewhere, you're in a bad neighborhood, you're in a bad location, you don't have any backup. There's no cops coming to help you. Like, you're in a situation, you might need all that vest. You might need all those tools. You might need those extra magazines. Now, there's something to be said for wearing that if you're working, I don't know. I don't know. There's something to be said if you're working in certain locations and you have all that on, but where are the mass shootings happening? Right? People have issues with the uniforms that we wear where I work. I didn't pick the uniform. I didn't pick the kit. I didn't pick the gear. I wear what I'm told to wear, right? But I will say, where were the last 6 of the last 10 mass shootings have been in grocery stores? The last mass shooting was in a bowling alley. There have been mass shootings in the school systems, right? So to act like these things don't happen, and they don't happen in the most mundane places, you're being disingenuous, right? At the end of the day, whatever a guard is wearing that his company is okay with or her company is okay with, as long as it doesn't violate policy, as long as it doesn't violate post orders, let these people live, right? Again, it's too much negativity and too much drama, and we get that from the average person in the public already. We should not be doing that to ourselves, and we should not be contributing to bullying people and making fun of people and giving people a hard time. One of the things that I'm really concerned about is that some of these younger guards, some of these lesser thick-skinned guards are going to take the harassment and the bullying and the comments from people, and they're going to say, you know what, I don't want Steve from Steve's YouTube channel to have an issue with me, and he takes his vest off, and then he gets poked up, or he gets slashed, or he gets shot. Like, death is finite. It's final. It's over. It's a wrap. You need to protect yourself however you see fit within the confines of where you're working and what you're doing. Everybody just needs to take a deep breath and back off of nitpicking people and trying to troll and bully people for what they're wearing. I don't want to see any of you young guards get into a situation where you feel that you're obligated to impress some jerk off that you'll never meet that has an issue with what you're wearing and what you're carrying. Wear whatever you need. Stop nitpicking each other, guys. All right. Number 2, undercutting and backstabbing. When I say undercutting and backstabbing your companies, right? Undercutting the prices for service in your area, backstabbing people that are giving you opportunities to work or to make money. All of us, we know of guys who have gotten hired by a company when they've lost. Whoo, boy. Oh my God. I don't want to say some shit that's going to like be too on the nose, but we all know people that have gotten terminated from their law enforcement jobs only to get picked up because they know somebody at the security company, right? This guy has done something egregious, has put himself and his department in a bad light. And the only place where he can go and work that same type of job, because that's all that he knows how to do, right, is to go into private security. And then that guy gets into private security and does what? Undercuts the contract, goes behind the company's back, tries to bid it himself, steals the employees to go work for him and someone else that he knows. We all know these stories. Right? Undercutting and backstabbing. That shit's got to stop. Leave that in 2023. Again, man code. I don't know why people, I guess like folks just aren't being raised by their fathers or whatever the situation is, but there used to be a code of honor. There used to be a little bit of respect. If you're working for a company and you want to start your own thing, be a man and talk to your supervisor, talk to the owner, and be straight up. If you're going to go after a contract that you're working and you're going to undercut that or underbid that, be a man, be straight up and talk to the people that have put you in that situation. Like, just be a man about it, right? There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do, but just don't do some don't do some hoe shit and do it behind people's backs. That's got to stop. All right. Last but not least, number 1, stop arguing with people. Security guards, stop arguing. Yesterday we had a situation. My New Year's resolution going into work yesterday was to stop arguing. Now, I am not an arguer in the sense that like I yell with people and go back and forth with people. I don't. I talk to people the same way I'm talking to you guys. I try to be very calm. I try to be very articulate. I try to be very rational, right? I do my absolute best to de-escalate, to try and talk people off the ledge. But when I went to work yesterday, I said, you know what? 2024, This is my mindset. I don't get paid any extra by expending all this energy to have a conversation with a crackhead that doesn't want to listen. I don't. Not to mention the fact that we have a police department that has been missing in action for the past 3.5 years. And recently, over the past couple of weeks, they have said, hey, we are going to crack down on retail theft. We have companies that are working with the company that I service, where their job is to take people that we have issues with and prosecute them. We have all of these stop gaps and fail safes to change the dynamic of the retail theft that's happening here in Portland. Okay, great. Then y'all deal with it, right? So we had a situation yesterday where a guy comes in, he doesn't want to leave. He gets into it with the manager. We've got 2 other security guards that are dealing with this guy, and they're telling him to leave. And he's like, I ain't going anywhere. And they're going back and forth with him. And he's telling him what he's not going to do. And the guards are telling them what he's going to do. And I come over and I said, what's the situation? I asked this to the manager. The manager says X, Y, and Z. Okay. Do you want him out? Yeah. Are you trespassing him? Yeah. Okay. You 2 officers peel off, go back and do what you were doing. You over here, call the cops. Sir, you're trespassing. We're calling the cops. And then we step back. No more engagement. You want to stand there? I get off at 11. If you want to stand there for the next 8 hours, knock yourself out. When the cops get here, they can deal with you. We stepped back. We did not engage with this guy any longer. The cops showed up within 10 minutes. Cops come in. Hey, bro, what are you doing? You're trespassing. It's time to go. If you don't leave, we're going to drag you out of here. The argument then is between him and the police officers. And the police officers made the decision after a couple of minutes to say, if you do not walk outside, we're going to drag you outside and we're going to arrest you. It's that simple. The cop says, I understand that you want to stand your ground, that you feel you've been wronged. So I get all of that. If you want to get a phone number to corporate, you can do that. You can call them tomorrow. But what you're not going to do is continue to stay inside this location. You've been trespassed. You're breaking the law. It's time to go. And that's it. Done. Right? So any negativity that people have, towards law enforcement being involved with this guy, any issues that this guy has, whatever it is, that's between them and the police. Right? Now, if he would have done something between the time that we disengaged with this guy, I would have definitely re-engaged and addressed that situation. But the back and forth and long drawn out conversations, like, to me, that stuff is stopping. It's stopping. Coming into the situation like a flow chart. What is the issue? Blah, 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 blah. This person needs to leave. Sir, they've asked you to leave. Please leave. I'm not leaving. Great. We're calling the cops. You're breaking the law. And then anything that happens from that point forward, we'll address each individual issue, but we're not going to have this long conversation. Stop arguing, people. Right? It doesn't change anything. It puts all of us as security guards in a situation where now we're on social media having a back and forth, right? How many First Amendment auditors, they come in, hey, I'm gonna walk around the building and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and the security guard's like, no, you can't do that. You're sitting here having a nonsensical conversation with someone who's never going to go, you know what, you're right. They're never going to do that. They're never going to say, you know what, you've pointed something out to me, you're right. Hey, they don't want you in the building. Well, I have every constitutional right to be here. Great. I'm going to call the cops and you guys can deal with it. Done. No more conversation. You're not going to have me up on YouTube, phone in my face like this, having me violating somebody's rights. Like, no, stop that shit. It's unnecessary, guys. Kill the argument. All right. Let's get some comments in here before we go on. Let's see here. Blue Collar says, hey, what's up? I'm late, but I'm here. Yes, you are here. You says, I wear a Stop the Bleeding kit and some people make fun of it. Even some of my coworkers, but best believe I'm prepped to stop bleeding. I work in Wilmington, California. It's a rough city. Yeah. Just tell people like, hey, I'll remember to make a mental note that you do not like the Stop the Bleed kit. So if anything happens, I will not put it on you. Okay. All right. I want to talk about one thing here. Hang on one second. Let me take this off. You guys, hang on one second. I got to plug my computer in. Hang on. I just got the alert. My battery was about to die. I don't want to lose you guys. shit, almost fell over. Woo! I need a chair with a back. Okay, so before we go any further, guys, we're going to talk about one more thing before we get off of here. This is the shooting that happened last night in California. Okay. I think the company is called ACS. If anybody knows anything about ACS, put that in the comments. But apparently what happened was, and this is to the best of my knowledge, don't quote me. Old lady has an alarm go off or contacts, or somehow the alarm company is contacted that there's a potential break-in at her house. I don't know if police are alerted or not, but the responding security company that apparently works in the neighborhood. I saw a news story today where they were talking to several people in the neighborhood. Lots of them had these signs. This ACS, armed response, is what it says on the signs. Okay. So apparently this guy, he makes the response, he gets there, and then somehow there's a shooting. Okay. And the lady who made the phone call, the 88-year-old woman, is shot in the abdomen. Now, apparently, so far, she's alive. Hopefully she recovers. But in this situation, I want to discuss whether or not this was a tactically sound way to address this situation. Now, before we go any further, everything that I'm saying, I'm talking about in terms of tactics. I am not talking about or negatively about this officer. We just went through this whole list of like not talking bad about people and not nitpicking. We're going to have to talk about and nitpick the tactics, and we're doing that from a position of education. This is not to condemn this person. This person has not been, to my knowledge, I don't know if they've been charged. If anybody knows, please let me know. To my knowledge, they have not clearly been convicted of anything. We're simply addressing the tactics. I got a comment that just came in. Let's see what we got here. Give guns to untrained people to respond to alarms. We're gonna get there. We're gonna slow walk it. So I'm gonna show you guys a video. I don't know if this is the officer. I'm going to assume. Earlier, someone had said that it was a female officer, but I heard on the news today that it was a male officer. This video does not have audio. It's got like background noise, but you're not having any commentary in it. I'm going to assume that the person that you're seeing in the security uniform on his phone is either A, the shooter, or B, maybe a supervisor. So I hate to say that the person that's shown here is the one that's involved in the shooting if they are in fact a supervisor and they're responding to the situation. We don't know. I don't have any more information, but I'm going to show you this video. I'll play it in its entirety. It's going to be a little bit quiet, and then we'll break down some of the issues that I have with the tactics involved. Here we go. I have a feeling that this might be the guy involved because he was talking to the police officers. Again, if he's not, then that would probably make him a responding supervisor. Let's keep it going here.
That's fine there, yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
So I don't know if there's much more to see on that. Let me remove this from the stream. Let me just ask you guys, considering the the results of the situation. Again, there's so much that we don't understand, we don't know. The news story said that she was shot in her home. So from that, we can deduce that the security guard clearly arrives to the scene and the homeowner is inside the house. The shooting happens inside the house. So I'm going to assume that this officer either A, cleared the outside of the home and then made entry, or B, maybe bypassed the outside of the home and attempted to clear the inside of the home. So before we get any further, we got some comments here. Mike Alvarez says, I don't believe he was the shooter. He would have been disarmed regardless if charged or not. Great observation. This is California, though. We'll reserve judgment. Let's just assume that is not the shooter. Let's just say that because I don't want to be, liable in saying that this person did something. How did the lady get shot? It's sad and confusing. Well, we're going to talk about that. Some things to consider when working in an armed response. I think that it's hard for security guards to separate themselves from the job that we are essentially doing from the scope of our authority. What do I mean by that, right? So as an armed officer who is responding to alarms, the image that you're selling and the product that you're selling to the community is that the cops are either A, slow to respond, or B, not responding. They're not responding to things like homeless people being on your property or drug addicts that are loitering in the neighborhood. Maybe they're, casing your car, or they're looking at your property. Those are some of the things that, based on Democrat policies in a place like California, in Portland, that the police might not be responding to. So in essence, what security is selling to the general public is that we will respond in those situations. But the scope of our work is not to be an engagement force, right? In my opinion, when that security guard, without knowing anything else that happened in that situation, when that security guard is approaching that home, if the thought is that there's an alarm going off and there is a potential burglary or robbery in progress, in my opinion, he has to notify law enforcement, and he has to either A, get in contact or attempt to get in contact with the people that are inside that home, right? If there is any indication that the homeowners are in some sort of immediate distress that is absolutely 100% visible. You're hearing someone screaming. You're seeing that the door is kicked in. There's blood. I mean, even in that situation, I don't know that security guard should be going into the home. I think that the idea of what we're being tasked to do in reality does not align with what our authority and the scope of our work in security. Now, some of you guys, you work for security companies where your standard operating procedures are, hey, clear the building, clear the home, do this, do that. And I understand that there's a market for that, but that doesn't negate the fact that is not the responsibility of private security, specifically in places like California and Portland. Can you get away with it? Yes. Can you operate a business that sells that as what you are bringing to the table? Yes, you can. Is it lucrative? Absolutely. Is there a need for it? 100%. Is that what the California BSSIS, whatever it's called, or Oregon DPSST, is that what they're teaching, training, and certifying you on? 100% no. There's no CQB in the DPSST Oregon manual. I don't believe that there's any CQB in the California security manual. They're not teaching SWAT tactics for breach and rescue in either area. Why? Because that's not what our job is. That's not what they're expecting us to do from a standardized state level. Now, I agree that there is a market for that, and I think that there is a need for that, but short of there being a government oversight like there is for law enforcement in that capacity, you are putting yourself in a situation where as long as nothing goes wrong, you might be fine. But if you find yourself in this situation, now you're fucked. Because there's no way to articulate, short of any other information that comes out, where this guy says, hey, I got to the house and she was screaming and I could see, people in the house and the windows were broken, the door was kicked in, she's screaming, and I get in there, the guy runs out of the house and she comes around the corner. Short of that, there's no way to justify what just happened. And I don't say this to be mean or hurtful or negative. I don't. I'm looking at this from a liability standpoint and from the repercussions that are going to come from this. And boy, are they going to be swift and aggressive. Let's get some comments here real quick. Whoo. Okay. The homeowner should have had a gun for themselves. West California. Whole different live stream. Yes. Failure to announce yourself. The homeowner could have mistaken him for an intruder. Absolutely. Blue collar. I've worked with companies that truly have guards that have no need to be around guns. One guy was in the bathroom and let off a round. Another one forgot his gun in the school bathroom. Yep, absolutely. Others have lost their guns and their magazines. Like, what the fuck? Hazman says, I've seen people hanging their guns on the coat rack. Yeah, we talked about the whole leaving your guns in the bathroom the other day. Yeah, that's a big issue. Blue collar, bro, it's up to us to get those skills. I work with people that can't even break down their weapons. I agree. And it is up to us. The problem is that there's so much, it's 50-50. 50% of being a trained officer is the tactics and the skills. So there's no shortage. This is where I get frustrated. There's no shortage of officers in any aspect of security that want to train firearms, right? Go to the range, take a class, take a course, work on every aspect of tactics. You don't have a problem selling that. The problem is that there's so much more education that has to go with that. They don't just take Navy SEALs and SWAT team guys and just say, hey, these are the tactics. There's so much theory behind it. There's classroom work behind it. There's education on why you're approaching this corner this way. Why? And it's not just explaining it in terms of the cycle of when you're taking the class or you're doing the reps. There's so much more education that goes into what people are doing in those environments. At the security side, we tend to focus on the visual tactics of what we see. I'm watching a video of someone clearing a room. I'm taking a class where they're teaching me to clear a room. However, in a security capacity, I don't think that it's tactically sound. I would not be able to justify to my supervisor going into a home and having my firearm already presented, short of there being, if it's absent some egregious circumstances, the fact that I'm entering into a room, which she's going to be like, why did you go in there in the first place? If I go in there with my firearm exposed, I'm already putting myself in a situation where my adrenaline is up, the fear factor is there, the possibility of a potential friendly fire situation like this. All of that could have been mitigated by that person just simply staying outside the house, right? Did he need to go into that house? We don't have that information, but short of that, it puts us in a bad situation. Never seen probable cause in security. Absolutely. Absolutely. In job description. Very good. Yep. Hasman says the only time to clear rooms if you're security is for a school or a hospital. Yeah. And you're talking about a situation where I don't think that we're being honest. I don't want to say that there's never a situation, because there are, but they're few and far between. The only time that I have ever produced my firearm, and guys, listen, I've had 2 firearms pulled on me in 4 years. I had a person walk into my area with what I thought was a firearm, ended up not being a real firearm. But the situation where I responded to a homicide, and I was in a parking lot that had a building structure. So I was in between the building structure and a vehicle where I could clearly see that someone had just gotten their head blown off. So in that situation, retrieving my firearm to clear the corners of where I was based on the fact that someone had just been shot. Those are extenuating circumstances. There's no other circumstance where I'm going to go search out an active shooter and clear a building. That's more likely to happen in my home or happen somewhere, where maybe I don't know. But the simple fact that a security guard put himself in a situation potentially to try and clear a building by himself where there's a potential burglary or robbery without waiting for backup or waiting for the police is exactly what I'm talking about. That's not our role. You can't convince me otherwise. That is not our role, because it puts you in situations like this, right? Let's see here. What else do we have? The standing operator procedures dictate firearms be exposed. I put that in here because on the community tab, someone had said, hey, my company says if we're responding to an alarm, if we're clearing a building, then our firearm needs to be out. And I asked him, I said, well, are you clearing the building with the firearm presented, or is it down at your side? Like, how are you doing that? Because if you're clearing a room and you're by yourself, you're clearing a building by yourself as a security guard, especially if it's a dark room or a dark building, and you have that firearm clear, right? If you're clearing that building and you're in Sewell, or if you have your firearm presented and you have a flashlight, you're putting yourself in a situation where exactly what happened here could happen to you. To me, in a security capacity, that firearm doesn't come out until you have made identification of a threat and you've also identified imminent danger. It's not just that you see the threat. You have to have that positive identification of the threat, but you also have to have positive identification of the imminent danger, right? We're not police officers. We don't have that qualified immunity. We don't have that indemnity of the state that if we make a mistake or something goes wrong, it's in the commission of our duty. And there's this gray area about, well, it was dark, and there's all kinds of fail safes to protect the police officer in a situation where something of an accidental nature happens. We don't have that in security. We don't, because that is not the scope of what the state is expecting us to be doing. I think that this situation brings into conversation the need for there to be more levels, maybe across the board in the industry, in terms of authority. Maybe there needs to be more training in terms of tactics, or a different level of card or something. There's a lot of things that we could discuss, but in and of itself, this situation, to me, that is not tactically sound. And if companies are telling their officers that they need to present their firearm when they're clearing a room or clearing a building as a security guard, I think that they are setting themselves up for failure. I think that's a bad decision, but I'm open to being educated. I can be wrong, and I'm willing to be wrong. I don't see how, but if you guys think that that's tactically sound and a smart thing to do, I want to hear it. Delaney says, sounds like bad advice to me. Retain cover, observe, and then only pull the firearm if absolutely positive it's necessary. 100%. Too many people in security are not okay with that comment. Read that comment again. Sounds like bad advice. Retain cover, observe, and only pull the firearm if absolutely positive it's necessary. Liability, liability, liability. Too many security guards don't want to accept that. They don't. They don't want to accept the fact that they cannot go and handle the problem. Every problem is not meant for us to handle. They don't require our handling. They require our aspect of the handling, right? There is something that he could have done. There is a way that he could have been helpful. He would have been well within his scope, his authority, and done the right thing to arrive at that location, try and get in contact with that lady in the house. Hey, are you okay? What's going on? What have you heard? Lock yourself in your room, put your back up against the wall, stay on the phone with me. I'm going to observe the outside, or I'm going to check the outside, whatever. There's so many different things that he could have done to have been a positive aspect of that situation, as opposed to allegedly, because I don't know, going in and potentially clearing that area and then having this happen, right? Mike Alvarez, guards don't seem to understand that our firearms are for last resort self-defense and nothing more. It's no different from a concealed weapons permit holder. If a company is telling you to do that, they know nothing about the law. I think that's, I agree with what you're saying, Mike, 100%. I agree with that. It's not that companies don't know the law. It's just that people that start security companies and people that are managing security companies, they're just older, more financially well-off security guards. That's it. The same people that make bad decisions as security guards, they start companies too. Yep. They become supervisors. Yep. They become managers. Absolutely. They become owners. 100%. Yep. The same people that, I work with former police officers who are in security, who would think that there was nothing wrong with kicking that door in and going in there and putting themselves in that situation, regardless of the fact that they're no longer working in law enforcement. These are the conversations that we have, which is why these types of breakdowns and conversations are so important, because more security guards need to hear that it's okay to just do your job. Regardless of what people are telling you, regardless of what you're seeing online, it's okay to be the guy that observes and reports. Now, if you're observing and reporting and a motherfucker runs out of the house and he has a big ass knife, put in work. Put in work. If you're observing and reporting and someone comes around the corner to your car and they've got their firearm out, put in work. Do what you got to do, right? But just stay within the scope of your work and respond. Just react, respond to the situations, right? I have seen this, Samuel. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. There was a couple more things I wanted to go through. Standard operating procedures. All right, these are the things that we know. I'm going to finish this up. What do we know about the situation? So I've been saying what we don't know. We don't know, if he went into the house, why he went into the house, what the situation is. This is what we do know. He broke all 4 firearm safety rules. Treat every firearm as if it's loaded. Finger off the trigger and out of the trigger well. Don't point at anything that you don't wish to destroy or kill. And know your target. Positively identify it and the backstop and what's to the left and to the right. If he would have followed the 4 firearm safety rules, and I say we because this is going to have an effect on all of security. When they say as goes California, goes the entire country, this is going to have a reverberating effect across the country for private security. Trust me, in terms of armed security, right? If he would not have broken those 4 firearm safety rules, none of us would be in this situation. What do we know is possible? It's possible that the officer was clearing the area with an exposed firearm. Now, I went to the range today, and the range that I go to, they have, the mechanical system, and they have a rule that if you shoot the target carrier, it's $75. They have like our big red line on the target holder. And when you get there every single time, hey, how are you? Good to see you again. Glad you're here. When was the last time you shot? Oh, I was here 2 weeks ago. Okay, great. I need you to look at the carrier and let me know if you see any strikes or any marks. No, sir. It looks good. Okay, great. You understand our policy? Yep. All right. Happy shooting. If you shoot that carrier, they have your credit card at the thing. When you come in, you give them your license and your credit card. You shoot that carrier. They call in with the radio. Yeah. 1 carrier strike. That's $75. You do it again, they kick you out and don't let you come back. Right? Now, that being said, again, this firearm is clear. Right? I cannot tell you how many times, because this is a new firearm, when I have gone in there over the past, I'd say month and a half, I've maybe shot this firearm 3 times, where I am trying to Find that wall. You know, when you're trying to break in a Glock, you're like trying to find that wall so that you can get there quick and you're on target and you're trying to find that wall and I've done that many, many times. Understanding that I'm focused on my target, understanding that I know that if I shoot that carrier, you know, holder or whatever, that I'm going to be charged. And I feel like I'm a pretty good marksman. I'm a pretty good, sound shooter. There have been 3 times where trying to find that wall, I've gone through it too quick and I've winged off that shot. Now, I've never hit the carrier, right? But each time that happens, I think to myself, what if I was in a situation where I'm drawing my firearm in a concealed carry situation? What if I was utilizing that firearm and that technique in a situation where I'm at work? Like you can't let that bullet get away from you like that, right? But it does happen, right? And that's happening on a gun range where you're in complete control and everything is structured around you. You're not going through a dark home where there's been a burglary or a potential robbery. So it's easy, very, very easy to pull through that trigger if you're scared or nervous or have a lot of adrenaline. So we know that officer was potentially, or we're possible that officer was potentially clearing the area with an exposed firearm that led to that round coming off. What is likely? Most likely this is unintentional. We don't think that this guy went in there with the intention to harm someone, right? But we'll have to wait and see. Okay. Accidental versus negligent discharge. In my opinion, when it comes to accidental discharges, those are situations that happen hands-free. There were the situations where I think it was the SIGs. They were having some issues of SIGs going off in people's holsters. And there's video of people putting the firearm into the holster and, moving around or whatever, and the firearm going off. Okay. Even in those situations, it was found out that maybe there was something inside the holster, or there was an issue with whether or not the slide was all the way in battery when it was placed in. All kinds of reasons why this accidental discharge happened, right? Negligent discharges are based on the definition of negligence. And that definition is failure to take proper care in doing something. This is not an accidental discharge. Sean from the Security Investigation Leadership channel, he had said, let's be very careful to not say that this is a negligent discharge. He quoted some legal reasons behind that. I get that. This is not an accident. The news is saying that it's an accident. This is negligence. And in California, ultimately, more than likely, okay, I could be wrong, but more than likely, he's going to be held responsible for this, because you cannot argue if you are an armed security guard, if you are certified, if you have held your concealed carry license, all of the things that come with being an educated, responsible gun owner, you cannot justify why you shot this lady in the stomach just based on the firearm safety rules, the 4 cardinal rules of firearm safety. You didn't positively identify this person. You didn't understand that your finger was on the trigger. You didn't realize your gun was loaded. You didn't know what was, beyond what you were shooting at. All of those things. It's going to be really hard to argue that what you did was accidental and not negligence. But I would love to hear what you guys think about that. Let's get a couple of comments before we get off of here. Delaney says that security management isn't worried about your best interest. We have to educate ourselves in these matters and cover your ass. 100%, guys. It's on us. The training is on us. That's that 50%. The education and the understanding around how you implement it. Wow, that was beautiful. The training is on us. That's 50%. The other 50% that we are also responsible for is how that education and information is both understood and implemented. 2 sides of the same coin, and we are responsible for that. Okay. PBE says if that guard want to do cop stuff, become a cop. 100%. And I support that. I think being a police officer in 2024 is a great opportunity. If you guys have that opportunity, take it, do it. But yeah, don't bring that shit to the security field. Shots were fired at a building that I was working at my partner, and I had no choice if it was after hours, and we called in before clearing the building. Okay. I'm going to say that there were shots fired and you guys came in, you had to clear the building. I hate to always say things like always and never, because there are examples. Like even myself, I have an example of having to clear an area with CQB, right? So that does happen. I try to be mindful of that, but it's all relative to the situations, right? Jake Judson says, bulletproof man-sized hamster ball. Yeah, that's what we need, man. Terry says, Happy New Year. Yep. Delaney, I've seen bullet holes in the ductwork in the ceiling at my range. Yep. That was the P20. Okay, yeah, the P20. Yep. And he says he will be charged, no doubt. Okay, last thing that I want to say before we get out of here. This is what we know is factual. I talked about what did I say? I says, this is what we know. I said, this is what is possible. I said, this is what is likely. And this is what is 100% fact. It doesn't matter. The reason why he did what he did, the circumstances that led to him doing what he did, whether or not it was accidental or it was negligent, it doesn't matter because it's California. 1st of January, SB2 went into effect. They are doing anything and everything against the Constitution, against the Supreme Court, to violate every American that is in California of their constitutionally protected rights to bear arms. This situation on the hours after SB2 has gone into effect is an absolute godsend in a gift basket for Gavin Newsom. How he will be able to utilize this situation as propaganda for further stringent gun control. And maybe they use this gun control strictly on private security. That's one fell swoop that they can cut a leg out of the gun community. Because the people that are arguing right now that constitutionally they should be able to conceal carry, that they should be able to protect themselves in their home. Well, that is something that is going to continue to be argued. However, the state issuance of license for you to carry while working, that's something they have complete control over. Merry fucking Christmas to the Democrats, to Gavin Newsom, and to the gun control community, because this one situation could absolutely eradicate armed security in California. And if they can do it in California, best believe they will do it in Washington. They will do it in Oregon. They will do it in Jersey, in New York, in Illinois, and all of the other blue states that are looking so hard to find ways that they can legally take people's firearms. This is why I say on every single stream, it's bigger than about you. Because I can guarantee you that there's some officer watching this live stream and they go, you know what, Damien? Yeah, but I'm not, me personally, I'm not going to be that guy. Like I'm not going to be the guy that doesn't go in and kick the door. And like that's just not me. Like if there's a woman and she's in trouble and the alarm goes off and I'm going in because, you know, man, like I'm that dude, man. I'm a fucking badass and you know, okay. And I know that you're out there and I know that that's what you say. And I know that you think that I'm somehow the pussy for always saying, take a deep breath and stay your ass in the car. But the reason why I say that is because situations like this are exactly what happened. Okay. Because if you're not smart enough to go, he's making some sense and he's spitting some real shit, you're not smart enough to go in there and keep your fucking finger off the trigger. Clearly. Any one of these conversations that we've had, any one of these topics that I've discussed, I'm not bringing this shit up because y'all didn't shoot somebody. It's generally me showing a video of somebody who has done something. I don't go seeking out videos of people just sitting in their car doing their job, right? It's generally a situation where you have done something egregious in some other city that I've never been to and I will probably never visit that is going to have some sort of fucking effect on my job and ability to support my family. That's why I say it. Trust me, in 2024, I would rather not have to make these videos breaking down why someone shot an 88-year-old woman. Please, by all means, feel free to stop doing that so I don't have to make this video. Whew. Lord, have mercy. Let's see what we got. Never upgrade triggers and duty weapons. I agree. Don't put that 3-pound trigger in that Glock. You know what I mean? This is what'll happen. Delaney said, blue collar agree. Adrenaline makes everything a very light trigger pull. He says, I came in late. What happened? All right, Terry, we're talking about a situation. You'll have to Google it or watch the re-upload stream. There's a security guard in California, allegedly, to the best of my knowledge. His company receives an alert that there's a alarm going off in a residential home that's occupied by an 88-year-old woman. He responds to this alarm, and we are assuming, because the lady was shot inside of her home, that he goes into the home potentially to clear the room, clear the home rather, to make sure that there's not a burglary or a robbery in progress that leads to a negligent discharge, and this woman has been struck. So what we're talking about is whether or not tactically he should have either A, gone in, B, tried to clear the perimeter or clear the interior of the home. If he should have had his firearm exposed. That's basically what we're talking about. Yep. Briefly. Yep. And damn. So yeah, that puts you back on everything. So, hey guys, I will give you 1 minute to see if you guys want to talk about anything. Why don't I play, let's see here. Why don't I play the, we'll play the supermarket situation where the guy's struggling to get the handcuffs on, and it'll also give you guys a chance to drop a couple more comments or questions. If you have any comments or questions about anything that we've talked about or anything in general, go ahead and put those up while this is playing. And after that, if I don't have anything to answer, we'll get off the stream. So we'll bring this in and I'll answer any questions that come through.
Fucking sand nigger, fucking pieces of shit, fuck all of you. My son. Fuck you, you sand nigger bitches. You are shit. All of you are shit. When you die, you won't even have a fucking ghost.
I don't speak English.
Get off of me. No. 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 Christian, no. 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 I'll leave. I'll leave. I'll leave if you let go. I'll leave if you let go. Help. 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 I'll leave if you let go. I'll leave if you let go. Help. I'll leave if you let go. I'll leave if you let go. Help! 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 Help!
Calm down.
No! I'll leave if you let go. Do you need help? Help! Help! I'll leave if you let go. If you let go, I'll leave. I'll leave if you let go. I'll leave if you let go. Help! Help! I need help me! Guys, help!
This guy? Can somebody help this guy?
I mean, I
Is there a security guard on duty? Did someone call the police? I don't know, but this is a security guideline, help.
Help!
I mean, I think she's causing problems.
Help! There's people being murdered in the flesh farm downstairs. Help! I'll leave if you let me go.
Call the policy.
Help!
I
Do
call the
not
police.
come. No!
Le voy a hablar al policía porque eso es un abuso.
I
Lo
didn't
que él
do
está haciendo.
nothing.
La agarra y
Help!
se
I don't want to go to jail. Please help me.
Pues habla a la policía.
Please help me. I didn't touch nothing. Please help me. Please help me. Please help me.
Porque ella no está bien de la cabeza.
Please help me. Don't let me go to jail.
La saca.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Yep. Hey, that's literally, if anybody ever wonders what my day is like, that's what my day is like. I'm not on the ground rolling around trying to handcuff people, but dealing with people like that every single day, and it's one after the other after the other. Yeah. If you don't know what you're doing handcuffing, like, that's just, you shouldn't be doing that at all. So anyway, all right, guys, look, we've been on here for almost 2 hours, man. This was a good stream. I appreciate talking to everybody, going over all this stuff in the comments. I will leave the stream up for the remainder of the day. I'll leave it up, and then this time tomorrow, after 24 hours, it will go into the membership portion of our page. You know, we have to push things over towards the membership side. I want to make sure that we always talk about these things and share these things with our community, whether you're able to support the page or not, but it will go into the membership portion after 24 hours. So if you have a chance, guys, go in and just to boost the algorithm, put some comments down there. Again, if you guys think that I'm wrong about what I'm saying on the tactical part of that, or the aspects of what this officer was involved in, please share that. It's a dialogue. Number 2 resolution for me in 2024 is to not come off as though I'm always right, because I realize that I'm not. Okay. I can be educated, I can be wrong, and I want to dialogue with people. I don't want to preach to people. Okay. So please do that for me. I'd appreciate it. Everybody be safe. And guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate everything you're doing, and continue to be safe. All right. You watch your back, and you guys be great. All right.
Boy, I got money in the bank, gold in the safe, 30 in the clip, I got more on my waist, done the whole shit, I can let it go to waste, hold up, boy, I got money in the bank, gold in the safe, 30 in the clip, I got more on my waist, done the whole shit, I can let it go to waste, hold up, boy, I got money in the bank, gun on my waist, 30 on the clip, I got one in the fist, rob a nigga quick, how I get it out the field, when I ride the voice, shit just as a nigga feel, hold up. Then I gotta go. When I jump in that pussy, I like Geronimo. Boy, I'm a killer, don't push me, I get the domino. I lay a nigga down, now the sound ain't yo, out of yo. Boy, I got hundreds in the safe, who's in my feet. Turn them all down for the work in the play. Try to set a nigga up like a server to the J's. I won't let them get the jump, boy, I've been looking for the pay. I'm a big spinner, big tipper. I'm a big shooter, bitch, a big killer. Big Ruger for them bigger niggas. I swear to God, I shoot it out without you, bitch niggas. Cause I got